Okay, and we, as always, we ask if you are not speaking, please put your phone on mute so that the background noise doesn't disrupt from what the speaker is saying. Tonight, our comments from the Vendors Association will be brief because we want to give our guest speakers a chance to give you all the valuable information. So Billion, you're on the call. Do you have any opening remarks before we get started?
Hey, good evening. I'll wait till after the guests are finished.
Okay, thank you. I am going to, as usual, attempt to share my screen just to go over a few quick things. This is the, I think, third week that we've been collecting vendor fees for vendors to set up. Back on July 4th, we took a vote. All of the vendors decided that they would, be comfortable contributing $30 each week to the marketplace to help offset the expenses. So this is what we collected this week. On Sunday, we collected $409 through Cash App. Jean and Nakia went around and collected cash from those who didn't want to pay online or Cash App. So we collected $915 in cash. And then for the invoices that we send out, there's a link where you can make a payment online. We had 8 people who paid online for a total of $240. So the total fees collected this week is $1,564. In addition to the fees that we collected, we sold raffle tickets again. I'm sorry, what am I doing here? We sold raffle tickets again, and we sold $15 worth of raffle tickets. And then we also sold shirts that were donated by One Love Los Angeles. He did a design for us. The shirt says Leimert Park Village on the front. On the back, it says Black Business Matters. We're selling the shirts at $20 each. So we sold 4 shirts for a total of $80, which means that the total money that we brought in for Sunday was $1,659. Does anyone have any questions? So the next, and as I said, we have our guest speakers tonight. So the first guest speaker that we have is going to be Darren Glenn from My Hosting Plus. He's a senior web designer and graphic designer. He's offered his services to help vendors who need assistance with, he'll tell us everything. Darren, I made you a co-host, so can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, can I be heard?
Yes, yes. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, go ahead. You can start presenting whenever you're ready.
Okay, yeah, I'll just give a brief intro to myself. My name's Darren Glenn. I'm a LA native, born and raised. I've been an entrepreneur and business developer since 1995. My passion has always been in business development as well as helping my people. So, make a long story short, fast forward to now, I have developed a couple different organizations that are, the main priority is to offer business services as well as education for our people. The first being, as the sister mentioned, My Hosting Plus, which offers a wide variety of business services, everything from web development and graphic design. We offer domain names and professional email services, SEO and online marketing, video creation, video marketing, business consulting, and the like. I also have another organization called the Boss Up Academy, which offers online business courses and business and financial literacy. for both new business owners as well as business owners that have, been in existence for a few years that may need to a little bit more education on how to, take their business to the next level. So we offer courses in leadership, various courses in marketing, accounting, branding, how to launch a product, how to start a business, how to master sales funnels, even how to write a business plan. And they're all affordable courses. So I talked to the brother Damien and Billion, and they filled me in on what's going on down at the Lamar Park. So I'm happy to be involved and to help in any way that I can.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Darren or about the services he offers? Okay, and Darren.
How do we contact him?
You can
I'm
contact
sorry.
me.
Yeah, I had a question.
Okay. But I'll go ahead and give him my contact information. My phone number is 310-422-4661. And what I can do, can I leave it in the chat so everybody can be able to view it?
Yes, please. I just put the phone number in the chat, but if you could put all of your details where people can contact you in the chat, that would be great.
Will do.
Okay. And then if we don't have any more questions for Darren, we'll go ahead and move over to Erica from Inclusive Action. As most of you know, Inclusive Action is a nonprofit that has been working for the benefit of street vendors for several years now. We were able to connect with them last December. They were very gracious in providing information, resources, emergency debit cards, and things of that nature to help the street vendors where we are. So they're back again, and they have additional information to share with us this evening. So Erica, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Jen, and good evening, everyone. My name is Erika. I work at Inclusive Action for the city. As Jen mentioned, my coworker Andrea is also here with me today, and we'll both be presenting information on the South LA Economic Inclusion Loan Program. But a little bit of background about me. I grew up in the Central Valley near Bakersfield and lived most my formative years in the Bay Area, and recently moved to LA. I have a strong interest in supporting socioeconomic mobility for folks that are from underserved and marginalized backgrounds. So I am an attorney by trade. I worked in LA for a number of years before moving to Inclusive Action for the city, and now supporting small businesses. So I'll let my coworker Andrea also introduce herself.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you. I was having issues with my headphones. So good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here on a Monday afternoon. My name is Andrea Avila. I'm the underwriter at Inclusive Action. And what that means is that once Erika collects your documents, I'm the person that looks at all your documents, and that's all the crazy cool math to figure out whether or not you qualify for a loan. A little bit about me. I wasn't born in LA. I migrated from Colombia very little. I was 12, and I actually grew up along the Crunchak corridor. I moved around many times from Crunchak and Lawson to Crunchak and MLK to Crunchak and Adams to Crunchak and Jefferson. So all along the Crunchak corridor, that's where I grew up, and still in Crunchak, but further down to the South Bay. And yeah, so I hope that we can answer many of your questions throughout the presentation. If you have any question, if you can input it in the chat, and we'll make sure to answer it.
Thanks, Andrea. So we're here to present about the South LA Economic Inclusion Loan Program, which is a loan program that is targeting small businesses and micro entrepreneurs in South LA, mostly in the City Council District 8 and 10. So Lamar Park vendors definitely fall into that area. And this program was started because, as you know, during the pandemic, so many folks lost their jobs and turned to working for themselves as entrepreneurs, or they turn their side hustle into their main hustle. And many folks don't get access to capital because they don't have an older business or something like that. So we wanted to create this product that would allow us to support newer entrepreneurs and also entrepreneurs that have been serving these areas. So just moving on a little bit about inclusive action for the city. Let's see.
So just a little bit about us. We are a community development financial institution, and what that means is a designation by the federal government given to very specific organizations that help and do financial services in underserved communities. Usually there are nonprofits, sometimes they're not. Just a little clarification in that, but we are a CDFI, and our mission is to specifically build strong local economies that uplift low-income urban communities through advocacy and transformative economic development initiatives.
And some terms for the South LA Economic Inclusion Loan that we're speaking about. The loans that we're offering for small businesses are from $1,000 to up to $15,000. The interest rate is a fixed 3.5%, and normally, depending on the loan size and the payment size, the loans are usually repaid within 1 year to 5 years. This program offers a 6-month payment deferral, so once someone receives funding, they are not obligated to make a payment until 6 months after they receive the funding. Our target market for this, as you all know, is micro entrepreneurs, specifically along the Crenshaw corridor. And there is business coaching that is provided with each loan, as well as numerous opportunities. I know that many folks are interested in grant programs and not loans necessarily, but one thing about at least the business coaching that we do provide is whenever any new program, like a grant, for example, pops up and you need help filling out an application for this, our technical assistance program actually offers assistance to fill out these applications for you and make these opportunities available to you. We've already started working with some Lamar Park vendors or folks that are associated with the area and have already received opportunities to join incubator programs for procurement contracts with the government. So there's a number of opportunities on top of the loan and the business coaching that would come to you if you were to decide to apply for one of these loans. And lastly, there are no Fico score requirements. So regardless of whether or not somebody has no credit or poor credit, that doesn't mean that we'll reject a loan. We'll talk a little bit more about what it is that we look at whenever we review loan applications. But again, if you don't have good credit or you're worried about your credit, that shouldn't stop you from applying for this loan.
So how is your work different, or why should you come to an organization like Inclusive Action as opposed to going to a bank? So our work is informed by the advocacy we do alongside entrepreneurs. So we do have a portion of our organization that works specifically in advocacy and working with the county and the city to support street vendors. Our lending is character-based, and what that means is that we look at you as a whole. So we don't just look at your credit score or your bank statements, but we look at you as a person, and we want to hear the story about your business, how you started, what's going on, how the pandemic impacted you. So it's mostly based about you as a human being and not just numbers. We have no interest rates loan. So for example, like Erika mentioned, the South LA loan is 3.5 fixed, but a regular Semilla loan for all of LA County, it's 8%, which is usually lower than other organizations. And I think the biggest one is a relationship that's driven via our business coaching. So like Erika mentioned, once you receive a loan, you would have TA for the life of that loan, whether it's a year, whether it's 2, but you start developing that relationship with your TA advisor. And the idea is that we help you increase your business, develop your business, whatever that might be. Maybe you need help developing a Yelp page, or maybe you need help putting together automatic payments on Venmo or Zelle. So whatever it is you think your business needs, we're here to support you.
So there are 4 stages to our loan applications. I'll be reviewing a couple of these. And the first stage of a loan application is document collection. There are a number of documents, and we'll be going over those with you all today that we collect at the inception of the application process. Once all of those have been collected, or most of those have been collected, then we move on to the actual application for the loan. And for this, the timeline, it all really depends on the applicant and whether or not they have all of the documents that we're requesting available immediately, or if they need a little bit more time, then the timeline might be extended. But we also offer support with folks, if you need help retrieving your taxes, or if you need support filing your taxes, we will definitely connect you with somebody. And we also want to make sure that nobody is spending money on things like scanning documents to get them to us, for example. So we will also open up our office to make in-person appointments to scan individual documents so that we can support applicants in completing this application.
So once the documents are collected and the application has been filled out, it moves into the underwriting phase. And what that means is that I or one of my other colleagues will go over the documents, maybe ask some questions. They will go back to Erika or whoever collected the documents. They will ask you a couple of questions. We will go on, we will review your financials, and then decide how much you qualify for, how long. So for example, one of the questions in the application is, how much do you want to pay a month? And the reason for that is because we want to know what's a comfortable payment for you, because that can dictate the duration of the loan. So maybe you're comfortable with 160. So in order for us to make that work, we might extend it, instead of 2 years, we might extend it to a 3-year loan so that you have a comfortable payment for yourself. After that, it goes to committee. And that means that the underwriter puts together the memo where it recommends the loan for approval. When it goes to committee, there's no guarantee that it will go for the amount that the underwriter is recommending. It usually does, but it might not. It might also come back with certain prerequisites for the loan. So maybe sometimes if someone is trying to get a new location, we maybe want to see the lease before they sign it, just to make sure that the applicant is getting a good deal on the lease. Or we might, maybe if you had done your taxes before and they were done correctly, we might want to refer you to someone that doesn't charge you to do your taxes, just to make sure they're done correctly in the future. So there's different items. But there's always communication with the client to make sure that they are okay with the terms and that they understand the terms.
So here's the list of the documents that we request for every application, and this list of documents remains the same regardless of the amount that the applicant is requesting. So the first requirement is that we do ask for a valid photo ID, and that just means that your ID shouldn't be expired, but if someone doesn't have a California ID, we also accept passports, whether US or foreign, or consulate IDs as well. We also request personal federal tax returns for the last 2 years. Right now, we would be requesting 2019 and 2020, but if someone hasn't filed 2020, then we might also consider requesting 2018. We also ask for your business federal taxes, and normally for folks that means a Schedule C that was filed for the business. So we would request for the 2020 year and 2019 as well. We will also ask that the entrepreneur give us 1 month worth of business related receipts, and depending on your business, this may be invoices from goods that you bought wholesale to then sell yourself, or if you provide services and are paying for, let's say, a website, whatever it is that you're spending on your business for, operation's sake, then we'll be requesting enough receipts for that, usually the 1 month. We also request business income logs. And for business income logs, this could look like a calendar where every day that you are vending, you are writing down how much it is that you earn that day in income. Sometimes folks keep an Excel sheet. Sometimes folks have a profit and loss statement. We're not really worried with the formality of the document as long as you are keeping like an honest log of what it is that your income every day for vending is. And Andrea will go over the other requirements.
So we will also ask for a couple of financial documents, the bank statements for the last 3 months, and that includes your business bank statements as well as your personal bank statements. And you would notice that we will ask for a couple of personal financial statements. And the reason for that is because this is a microloan. And what a microloan is specifically targeted to very, very small businesses, usually 5 employees or less. And that usually means that this business owner has their personal expenses and their business expenses are commingled. So that means you might not even have a business account. You might just use your personal account for your business, or vice versa. You might have a business account, but you're using it for personal expenses. So we want to make sure that we, again, because we're looking at you as a whole, that we have the complete information of yourself. We also would need to see the receipts for your rent of your mortgage for the last 3 months, business or personal. Some folks pay a fee to vend on the street. So we also, if they get a receipt for that, we would want to see that. Personal utilities for the last 3 months, permits and licenses related to the business, a lease agreement if you have one, and entity documents if you have one, if your business is an LLC or a corporation. The other thing I wanted to point out, and one of the reasons why we asked for utility bills in the last 3 months, is because when we look at all your finances, we want to make sure that we're giving you a loan that is going to support you as a business and not further bury you in debt. So, we want to make sure that if you are behind in any of your utilities, we can connect you to programs that can support you in paying, and also give you a loan that would help you get out of debt or help you increase your business, and again, not further burying you in debt.
So that was all of the information that we wanted to share about the loan program, and share all of the document requirements so that you all can start getting a head start if you're considering applying for this loan program, so that you know what those requirements will be. I will be sending Jen some information from this presentation and this presentation as well, so that she can share it with the rest of you. But does anybody have any questions? And you can see our contact information here.
Thank you, Erica and Andrea, for presenting the information. I actually have 2 questions, and then there's a question that was asked in the chat box. So my first question is, you say it's for new, the loan you can get the loan as long as you've been in business for 6 months. But then on the document list, it says you're looking for 2 years tax returns. So what if someone's a new business and they don't have 2 years tax returns yet?
So for all of the document requirements, if someone doesn't have those, they just have to let us know. If you are a newer business and you don't have a Schedule C, then you just let us know, and we work a lot more with the income logs that the individual provides. But again, like if something doesn't apply to you, just like the entity documents or the lease agreement, it's just a matter of telling us.
Okay, thank you. And then my next question is, you ask for the rent receipts for the past 3 months. We're just coming out of COVID. Some people were unable to pay rent. So if a person is past due on their rent, will that disqualify them?
No, it would not disqualify them. As a matter of fact, if you are behind in your rate, we would like you to let us know so we can refer you to a couple of programs that we know about. It would know, we just would more than likely work out a plan to help you, either work out a payment plan with your landlord or something to support you. So it wouldn't disqualify you.
Okay, thank you for that. And then in the chat box from Sabrina, she says, can we use the loan to acquire space to train and prepare community youth motivational events and performing arts?
So that depends. We don't support nonprofits. So if she is doing this as a nonprofit, unfortunately, we don't lend to nonprofits. But if she is putting this together as a business, then yes, because
Okay,
it's a service.
okay, thank you. Does anyone else on the call have any questions? I can't see your hands going up, but if you do have a question, please unmute yourself and just jump right in. Okay, does anyone, I don't see any questions, no one's jumping in. So I think that once we receive the information from you, Erica, then I can go ahead and share it with the vendors. The document list will be included in one of them, correct?
Yes, I'll make sure to share that as well as the application in case folks are curious about what that looks like and want to get, not necessarily maybe a head start, but just review the questions and information.
Okay, thank you. And then we have one question in the chat box. Some people who are calling in from their phones can't see the your information on the screen. So if you could please just put your information in the chat box, that way the people calling in can have it as well.
Yeah, we'll make sure to share that in the chat right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you again for being here. Thank you to Inclusive
I
Action.
think Sabrina had a questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sorry. I wanted to know, I don't know if you can see me or not, but what is the loan turnaround? How long does it take?
It really depends on how quickly we get through the document collection and the application itself. Some folks, it can take as short as like 3 weeks maybe, but normally it's between 3 weeks and a month, depending on how many files we're working on. We're a pretty small team. There's only about 4 others on the technical assistance team working on these. So it just really depends on you and how quickly you want to move through that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I have one more question, and you may have answered this already. So like for people who applied for EIDL and PPP loans, some of them could not receive the funds because they don't have a separate business bank account. Is that a requirement for this program?
No.
Okay, so you can use your personal bank account.
You could use your personal bank account, and sometimes we even write checks for folks. So the bank account isn't always a requirement.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out, it's okay. It's completely fine if you're using your personal account for your business. But when we go into the underwriting process, we might ask you to point out where the business income is coming from. So any lender, whether it's us, a bank, any lender just wants to know that you have the ability to pay back. And that just means that we want to see the income that's coming from your business. And that could be just you highlighting stuff from your bank statement. This is from the business, this is personal, or it could be you printing out your sale or your Venmo transactions. So we're really flexible. We just want to see where the income from your business is coming from.
Excuse me, one question. Hello?
No, go ahead, Sabrina, we're waiting. We can hear you.
Okay. When you're doing this, did I hear you say that you have support teams or people to help you through the application? I don't know if I heard that.
Yes. So we have a technical assistance team that will walk with you through the process, whether you have questions about the documents, that we are collecting. And then most of our appointments are over the phone or on Zoom if the individual wants. But we will go through the application with you as well and give you sometimes even a preview, like I mentioned, just so that you're not taken aback by the amount of information that we're requesting, but there's always someone supporting you and updating you.
And as far as like get your payments on your house or something, that is, you're saying you want that. Why? So that you can know our expenses or something? Is that generally what you're saying?
Yeah, that's generally what we're saying. And as Andrea was mentioning, we want to make sure that whatever loan amount and payment is decided on is something healthy for you. And because for micro entrepreneurs, you are your business and your business is you. So we want to make sure that if, we give you a $150 payment, that you're going to be able to make that and continue paying for your mortgage, paying for your rent, paying for the rest of your utilities, and not having to, get further in debt or sacrificing something just so that you can make these payments. So that's why we ask for a lot more personal information, because we want to make sure that you're okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have another question, and this one pertains to street vendors who sell food. Are there, because, and you guys are doing the work behind this, but because it's virtually impossible for certain street vendors who sell food to get licenses, does that have any impact, or can food vendors also apply?
Yeah, that doesn't have any impact on whether or not we accept a loan application or approve a loan application. And that I mentioned this as well. We, don't care about like the formality of a lot of these businesses either. Like someone could apply for a loan with us and not have their business permits yet. If they're interested in getting them, we'll support them through that process. We work with a lot of individuals that don't have an ITIN or a social security number. A lot of these issues that you might be worried about, not meeting some regulation or formality, it's all just a matter of speaking with us, and more than likely we are very willing to work with you through getting those permits, or at least supporting you with the loan application process.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you have another question, Sabrina?
Yeah, one other question in regards to the receipts. Now, you're saying if we have like a ledger or a log and not all your receipts, what could you do? Could you put it on a log, or you have to have the specific receipts?
So it's going to be a little bit of both. When we're going through the application process, we'll be asking you how much it is that you're spending on different aspects of your business. So you'll be giving us a very general list of those expenditures, and the receipts are sort of your way of proving some of those expenses. So if you don't, right now, a lot of folks don't keep their receipts, right? Because if you're not going to return something, why do you need this receipt? So we invite folks, as soon as they know about these requirements, to start creating that log, or to start creating that record and maintaining a record keeping practice, from now on. If you don't have like the business income log from like the last month, like I mentioned that we would be requesting, we'll ask that, starting today, you start keeping a daily log, so that whenever you do submit your application, you have some sort of like transcript or collection of documents that will prove how much it is that you were making or what you were spending.
Thank you.
Okay, and then beyond questions about the loan, if Eric is okay with it, does anyone have any questions about inclusive action, about the street vendor campaign, or anything else relevant to being a street vendor? Because again, inclusive action does a lot of the work to support street vendors all throughout the city. Nadia has her hand raised. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my question is, as far, I heard you say, once every, not you, Jen, the other, I'm sorry. Once we sign up for the loan, then there will be, help with grants or whatever. Do you have to sign up for the loan in order to get assistance with, grants that may become available?
So yes and no. If we have your contact info, then we can send them over. But the very personalized assistant, it's only for current clients. And that's just because, like, as Erika mentioned, we're a really small team. And so it'd be really hard for us to support more folks outside of our clients. But if you are already tied to some sort of group, like for example, this group, we can send out information that we are aware of, and then they can pass it over to you.
Okay, now you said if we're a part of your, like, if you have our information already. So say for instance, if we've already gotten the emergency debit card or whatever, would you still have the information from that? So are those people a part of your organization, or you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so normally with the emergency fund, because it is such a large group of individuals, we aren't able to, keep buckets of, these are the vendors that are in LA County, these are the vendors that are in LA City, or this type of vendor. Normally a lot of the programs that come through are very specific to the demographic that they are seeking to support. So for us, it's a lot more, or it's better if we know you personally, and like whether or not we spoke with you, one-on-one to talk to you about the loan, and then you weren't interested, or we know you in a more personal level, then all of us will kind of keep a mental record of those folks, or we'll actually write down the names of those folks. So whenever an opportunity does come about, even though you're not necessarily one of our clients, we're like, oh, I remember like this person, didn't qualify for the loan, or they ended up like not needing it, but they might qualify for this. So we'll direct those opportunities to you. So that's normally how that would work.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your question, Nadia. We have another hand up. Mrs. Pitts, do you still have a question?
No, it was answered when she continued what she was saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So if there are no more questions, oh, there's another question. Monique?
Okay, I gotta unmute. Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I was wondering if you guys like assist with the the classifications for city bids and county bids.
We normally don't support with that, but depending on what your need is, we might be able to provide a referral for you to somebody that might. As I mentioned, recently we became aware of an opportunity for vendors or business owners that are interested in learning about the procurement process. So we were able to connect one of our clients that was going through the application process for the loan to that program, and now they'll be starting it very soon. If you want to, connect with us after this, or send us an email or text message, just letting us know what your business is and what your interest is in terms of opportunities for the bidding, we can try to see if there's something available for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? And then, as Erica stated before, they'll send the information over to me, and I will share it with everyone who is on our part of our association, and that we have contact information for through our vendor directory. We're at the 8:15 mark right now. We always try to keep it an hour. So if there's no more questions about the loans, there's no more questions for Darren about marketing or websites, things like that, then we'll go ahead and turn the meeting over to Billion so he can give us the updates and any comments that he has, and we'll close out with Billion. We can't hear you, Billion.
All right, y'all, good evening. Basically, for those of you that were not in yesterday's morning meeting, as far as the trash, on Sunday mornings when we get there, again, there's a lot of trash that is being left from the activities on Saturday. Some people feel as though those of us who are on the Sunday staff should be responsible for what is happening on Saturday, but again, that's unreasonable. We spend a lot of the time, well, at this point, we're spending time cleaning up Saturday trash just because, in addition to a number of the vendors who arrive early, but again, once our market gets going, we are dealing with a lot of trash on Sunday. So those of you who are there on Saturdays, we cannot tell you, but usually when trash has been left by the park, it has been collected. However, yesterday, for whatever reason, it wasn't collected, in addition to the restrooms not being open yesterday. So we're not sure if that's just one more move by the city to complicate what we are doing on Sundays, but we did notice, for whatever reason, yesterday, those two things did not happen as they have been happening since Juneteenth. It was a big announcement made that the park would be open, the restrooms would be open, but again, all of a sudden, so we had to order a second set of potties at the last minute. And again, the potties, each set both on Degnan and 43rd Street, and the one we ordered yesterday are 200 each. In addition to the last minute charge, we had another $50 charge added on to that. So at this point, we're not really sure what to do about Saturday. We did talk to a day yesterday. He did show us some video to where he and his team have been cleaning up after Utopia, but that's only up on People Street. And I suggested to him that possibly hiring the same truck we use on Sunday to come and pick the trash up, because what could possibly be happening is once they bag it up, it's getting blown over and then blown up and down the streets, or someone could, be sabotaging them, as we have seen with us. So he said he will look into hiring a truck to come pick the trash up. So if that's the case, possibly once they identify where the truck is going to pick up the trash on Saturdays, then the vendors up and down Degnan could possibly also leave their trash in that location. But at this point, we do not know. We will try to have more communication with Ade between now and Friday. But again, those of you who are present on Saturday, it can help all of us if you also engage some conversations between the other vendors and merchants who are having activities on those days, because we do understand the frustration. There was even some horse crap boo-boo left down by Community Build, where the cowboy comes through, and that's nothing new. He's been coming through for years. It's just now on Sundays, because we have the permit, one of the regulations is that we can't have that type of live animal walking around, especially if it's gonna take a dump. Our brother Kohler down there, who sets up in front of Community Build, fortunately he went ahead and cleaned it up. But those are just some of the things we have to continue to figure out as we move forward. But a lot of it goes back to the need for more pressure on city council. Because again, we're finding a lot of these fees we're having to pay other farmer markets are not having to pay. We're finding a number of festivals in the area are receiving different types of funds. Different other farmers markets are receiving different types of city funds. So again, we're about, let's see, May, June, July. We're about 3 months into this now. And for the most part, we have been in compliance. And that was one of the things we were told the day before Juneteenth, excuse me, probably a couple of weeks before Juneteenth, that once we came into compliance, the city would help us identify sources of funding. But at this point, having to pay this weekly growing bill, this week we're looking at almost, between $8,000-9,000 or more. That is part and due because of the insurance is coming up in addition to other fees. But again, we know this is part of the pricing out effort, just like we've seen with the housing around our communities where rents are going beyond what people can afford. The mortgages with these adjustable rates go beyond what people can afford. So that's what they're doing with compliance. They're continuing to add on and hope to get us out of there before the street closure. The street closure, again, at this point, we are being told is going to happen at the end of summer. So whether that's the end of August, end of September, we don't know. But with that, we were told they want to force the vendors into the parking lot behind SO1 and right on bike shop. And again, we know they hope that it will be a situation where the vendors won't come out of that, if at all. But by us holding the permit, we at least have legal grounds to challenge this in court if and when we get to that point. But again, that will be another fee we're looking at having to pay. Hire attorneys to go in there and fight for us. So again, we know some people still feel as though they shouldn't have to pay anything, whether they've been out there long enough or they just, for whatever reason, feel they don't. But again, the less cooperation we get, the sooner we will fall apart and we will all be out of there. Almost 2 weeks ago now, it was announced that a lot of the properties right there are about to be sold. From Hot and Cool to Soul Folks, that block is up for sale. And around the corner, directly across from the park, there's a huge blue building. The last business there was the Lamert Park Studios. And on the corner, right before you get to Crenshaw, used to be a bank and then a gun store. That is also up for sale, and directly across the street, the old Total Experience lot. So one of our sisters contacted the realtor last week. He basically told her they're not even interested in individual sales. They're looking at a bundle deal, basically meaning selling all the properties at once. And we know some of them, they have been asking, between $6 to $3 million each. So if that's going to be a bundle deal, we know, that's going to be a high ticket. And more than likely, that will be people who are not, don't have our community's best interests. One of the rumors is that Apple is interested in acquiring one of the properties. So, we can only imagine what would happen if Apple came over there and opened up a business. So again, this is why we really ask people, in addition to the weekly vendor meetings, as we get on other city halls. Normally City Hall is Tuesday and Wednesday. The county meetings, we believe, on Thursday. And then just other meetings in between. We just need more people joining those calls. So as we get more information on that, we will share it. We are in the process of asking the neighborhood council for $5,000. And again, that will knock out a portion of just 1 week's expenses. But as we get closer to that call, we most definitely will need people to join in and just, share that you are vending out there in Africatown and, that, resources are needed. Because again, that's another crazy thing about how they're charging us right now. I was just looking at a report earlier saying how You know, there are still several millions across the country who are out of work. There are still people who are having issues getting EDD. You know, the stimulus checks they issue out every 6 months might last people a week or two, but they were basically saying by the end of this year, they expect some serious hardships to fall upon us, and especially in the Black community, as a lot of our people have been forced out of jobs even before COVID. Resources coming into our community have been few and in between, and just resources in general are bypassing us. So in a community that needs assistance, that needs funding, you know, why would they really be placing all these charges on us when vending has pretty much been the last resort for a lot of people? We know it's a first step for some, but for a lot of people, whether it's a supplemental means of income or whether it's just their last option, you know, this would be something that if the elected officials had our best interest, they would be supporting. So by us being 3 months into this and they're still adding on fees, we have to come to the realization that this is nothing other than an attempt to remove us. So just saying all that to say, once again, we appreciate everyone who has been staying involved in these meetings, everyone who has been cooperating on Sundays. And we want to emphasize again, this is not us as Africa Town or as the marketplace staff, but this permit is for all of us who are participating in what's happening on Sunday. We want everyone to know this permit is yours. That all these efforts we are doing are for us as a total. I don't know if Walter, the brother that sells lemonade, is on this call, but I most definitely want to salute and commend him. Last week we had a situation where a vendor came and just set up without going through the process, and that was her third time doing so. And it got to one point, you know, where she got a little hostile. She went on Instagram Live to try to put us on blast, but by Walter stepping up and talking to her, he was able to help de-escalate the situation. And at one point, you know, she came out of her emotions and went and had a productive conversation with Jen. But again, that is what we've been saying, as more of us will educate other people or dispel the rumors and lies that certain folks are circulating, that it will help all of us. Because again, if they keep attacking those of us who are on the front line, if they keep trying to make threats and make it harder for those of us who are on the front line, then that means the permit is lost. And other people get hold of this permit and they come in and they displace everyone. Again, that was the whole purpose of us stepping up to get the permit, so it could be a collective effort. We can have a community input on how we want to do this. But as we are getting closer to whatever agenda they have of unfolding, the attacks are becoming more regular, and the complications are becoming stronger. But we know with the many of us who are out there that collective participation can push back against all of this.
Oh, sorry for cutting you off. Nadia has a question. She put her hand up as you were speaking. Nadia?
Yes, okay. So I had a question in regards to when Ava DuVernay came, did anything become of that?
So she the day she came, or even before she came, you know, she was really excited. She's actually from the community. As a young person, she was involved in a lot of the hip hop movement out there. She has a lot of, you know, friends she grew up with, ran into a few of them, and she was very excited about possibly helping us. She shared with us that she had looked into actually purchasing a spot in the area, but for whatever reason, they gave her the runaround and you know, were uncooperative in helping her obtain a spot. So she said she wanted to looking helping us financially, but she also wanted to use her platform to raise up a lot of the issues we are dealing with. However, probably half a week later, she realized that the merchants have issues with the vending there and with the marketplace. So rather than her rushing into just helping the vendors and then being vilified by the merchants, she says she wants to do more research to try to find out what issues the merchants have and see how she can move forward from there. She did contact us last week and says she is interested in investigating to see how possibly she could be one of the ones to obtain one of the properties that just went up for sale, which could possibly be a great thing. But at this point, where she is as far as direct help, we're not sure. But we do have other people that are working with us who are in communication with her. So we hope to hear something soon.
I don't see any more hands. Do we have any more questions about anything that Billion has shared this evening?
And I just shared one last thing as far as the marketing. So the brother Darren spoke earlier. One of the things he did tell us in the initial meetings is that, those of you who need e-flyers or things like that, that is one of the immediate services in addition to the other business services he was speaking on earlier. And right now, we know because the city had opened, even though it's about to close right back down, but because it had opened, we lost some of the local foot traffic that was coming. So for the past couple of weeks, we've been looking at ways to better market both the market in general, but also the individual vendors out there. So e-flyer is most definitely something that will help. We have discussed amongst Africa Town, possibly having people go on Friday, Saturday to like Venice Beach, Hollywood, other areas, and pass out flyers directing folks our way. We want to thank our sister Chanel, Juice by Chanel. She got the 3 banners a lot of you saw hung up over the past weekend. We figured if we get out there on Saturdays and hang them up also, we could possibly get some of that Saturday traffic coming in. But most definitely, as a lot of people have large followings on social media, later in the week, if we could really focus on directing people towards the market, we will see an increase. For years, I've been able to expose what's happening to people right here in the city who never even knew about, what was going on in the area. We've been able to get people who come visit LA to come through the area. But again, we know with us having over 100 people now in this effort, if we each, could use our social media, whether we each just bring out 1 or 2 family members or, people who are just following you for your business, then we can collectively increase our foot traffic over there. But also, one of the things Jen and her staff has been doing is raffles, getting products from different businesses to raffle during our live performances on stage. But another thing, if the individual vendors started thinking of ways to, bring people out to your booths, whether you did additional raffles at your booth, chess tournaments, fashion shows, hair shows, the more creative we each get with this and market it to the public, we will draw more people and that will bring more money for all of us. So just moving forward, I really encourage everyone to utilize the services that were offered here tonight. Again, the projection I was looking at was saying it's going to be all bad going towards the end of this year. And based off of what we're seeing, prices going up, gas is going up. Once gas goes up, all the other products go up. So resources are being cut from our community. So we most definitely have to figure out ways, creative ways to encourage both our people, but also a lot of the tourists that come through LA. You know, this is one of the top tourist attractions on the planet. Venice Beach, let's say, is our #1, Hollywood #2. But over the past several years, we've seen a lot more people coming through Africa Town. So again, as we collectively make an effort to attract these people, we will, you know, harvest what we plant. So, you know, that's basically it.
Jen, I have 2
I have
questions.
another question. Oh,
Okay, who said I have 2 questions?
Diane, Designs by DHB.
Okay.
My request would be that if possible, the time of the meeting can be changed because 8 o'clock, we're right into the setting up period. And when we come down and we spend half an hour at the meeting, that takes away from our setup time. That was my first question. And is it possible, instead of us meeting down by the park, if we could meet in a central location where you're set up, so that the half on the end can come towards there and the other half on the end to meet together there? So I'm requesting that, and then maybe the time of the meeting could be the cutoff time when the cars are no longer being able to come in. And of course, as you know, this Sunday, we still had cars in after 9:30. So if the meeting could be after the cutoff time where the cars can come in, that would give us more time to set up and not having to go and rush back to our space to try to set up before the market opens.
Okay, Diane, thank you for asking those questions. So what I just typed in the chat box is, please vote for a meeting time. Enter the time you would like in the chat. We'll print out the chat after this meeting is over, and we'll get the 3 most desired times based on the responses in the chat, and then we can vote on that. As far as moving the location, we can vote on that as well. Billion, are there any logistical things that would prevent us from meeting kind of more in the middle of Degnan?
Oh, well, no, initially the whole reason was because it allowed us to see, you know, both streets. You know, if we go down to the middle of Degnan, we're not able to really see 43rd Place, who is there, who's coming, who to not wait on. But I do understand that is a walk for people all the way down on Degnan, closer to 43rd Street. So yeah, I would say put it up for a vote. You know, because that was the only real concern for us. And as far as the time, the only thing I would say with that is we're getting closer to the market actually opening and having more people coming in with your booths unattended. You know, that was part of the reason we wanted to do it as early as possible, but late enough for enough people to be there. Just again, you know, take that into consideration. The later we have it, the more people in general that would be there. But also one thing I mentioned yesterday that I didn't mention tonight for people who were not there yesterday, another move that the city is trying to do right now is cut off your ability to drive in and set up and your ability to drive in and load out. So that is another piece of information we got last week that we know at some point may possibly be a fight. The fire inspectors call it a variance from the normal regulations, meaning a lot of other situations where they have the streets closed off, they don't allow any type of driving in or out. But because of the special situation we came out of where people were driving up and parking right next to their booth all day, the fire inspectors allowed this variance with the condition that we walk the cars
Time are we
in
supposed to
and out doing load out. So that's just
What
something
time are
else
we
to take.
supposed to be? What is the time cutoff that we're supposed to be?
I think you're on mute. I mean, you're not.
So the vehicles are supposed to be out of the barriers by 9:30.
Right.
So what someone else suggested is that instead of allowing the vehicles in and then for the vendors to set up and then to move your car, is to do what they do at some other farmers markets where you come in, and this is what they did for Juneteenth as well. You come in, you drop all of your stuff off, and
go
before
park.
you start setting up, then you go park your car and then you come back and set up. So we can put that to a vote as well. Are there any additional questions about the meeting time or the meeting location before we move to the next item? Someone put in the chat, if the time changes to later, that means you would have to come earlier to set up. 8 a.m. is perfect. You will still have 1.5 hours to set up. So what we'll do is people are still putting things in the chat box. Again, we'll print the chat out and we'll analyze the information, and then we'll come with a ballot for people to vote. Any questions about the time or the location? Okay, circling back to one of the things that Billion said about marketing. We've been getting emails and DMs saying that the vendors page on Instagram, we have a couple of people said it feels like there's too much politics. There's some people who are saying that we don't promote all of the vendors equally. So essentially we're getting negative feedback about the Instagram page. So the Instagram page was started as a way to disseminate information to the vendors. The specific purpose was to get information out to the vendors, those who could not attend meetings because they have to work. Some people don't do Zoom. We've tried a variety of ways to have the meetings to be able to get information out to everyone. We did some in-person meetings. We did Saturday morning meetings. Now we're doing Monday evening meetings. Out of the 100 vendors that we have on our active vendor list, there are only 26 people on this call tonight. One person is a guest, 2 people, Billion and myself, are organizers. So that takes that down to 23 vendors on this call, meaning there's a large number of our vendors who are not getting the information that's being presented on this call. And that has been the case since we started. So the primary goal of the Instagram page is to have a source and a resource where people can go back and get information. If you go to our page and you look in the highlights, you can click on a link and get some of the past Zoom meetings. There's another link that gives you the steps on how to apply for your seller's permit and your tax registration certificate and how to get your street vendor's permit. It was not the intention for the Vendors Association to promote each and every vendor individually. So I want to be clear on that. As we started to progress, we saw, when vendors were doing different things, we wanted to highlight those vendors. When we had a large number of vendors who went out and paid that $291 and got their street vending permit, we wanted to celebrate them and congratulate them for taking the step to do that. When we have vendors who have special things going on at their booths or who have even personal accomplishments, we like to celebrate and promote and uplift our vendors. We want to support you in as many ways as we can, both professionally and personally, but it is not our job to promote your business. And Billion has been saying from the very beginning, please tag other people, please share the post, please do what you can. He even gave a breakdown of numbers. If he has 3,000 followers and somebody else has 10,000 followers and somebody else has 100 followers, if all of us share and reshare the same information, then we're getting out to a larger audience. For me, personally, I think that we are trying to help the vendors by sharing, because when you go on Instagram and other social media, people charge to have your post reshared. We don't charge our vendors to reshare their post. So again, we're always working in your best interest. We're doing the most that we can and the best that we can with the tools that we have. So at the end of the day, we're asking for your support, and we're just asking you guys to stop coming for us. Somebody's coming for us on some level every single day, and we cannot reach the goals that we're trying to reach if we have internal conflict on things that really we should not be having. So as one of the people who runs the page, I'm just asking you guys, please, to be mindful of what the goal of the page was, and to be considerate in the messages that you send, and then to also promote each other and share the hashtags, do everything that you can to promote your business. At the end of the day, association or no association, this is your business. You are a micro entrepreneur, so you need to invest in your business to the degree that you want your business to grow. I'll stop with that and let Nadia ask her question. She had her hand up, and then we'll take any additional questions that others may have.
I have two comments. The first comment is, well, as far as advertising and promoting and all that, I do a lot of, all my stuff that's on my page, I do myself. And if anyone's interested, then I can share the apps that I use for my, to make different things, that I post on my page. That was number one, so if you want information, then just, let me know, then I can help as much as I can. Because I'm not a graphic designer in the least bit, but I do what I have to do for my business. That was number one. And number two, yesterday I noticed something very interesting, and I'm just curious about it. So I know that, starting from Father's Day, we started doing the performers, entertainers or whatever. And then at first we were right there on 43rd place in Degnan, and then we got moved down. So then yesterday I noticed that there was 3 things going on during the farmers market at the same time. And I was just curious to know why we can't come together and do one thing instead of 3 things, because it was literally 3 things going on. Right there, 43rd place, it was the Rastas doing their thing and having their entertainers and their speakers or whatever. And then I walked down close by Soul Folks, then we were doing our thing over there. And then I went later on, and over there on People Street, then the what do you call it? The art walk thing was going on. Then they had like whatever they was doing over there. And I'm like, this is weird. It's like we're supposed to be together, but we're separate. And I don't understand that. So could somebody elaborate on that?
So that is my mic on? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Billion. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So that comes from just a long standing tradition there. Every last Sunday, Ben over at Project Blow does art walk, and it had been way more organized.
Not art walk. I was just talking about.
Hello?
Hello, Nadia, what happened?
Yeah, go ahead. No, no, no. I was saying I know about Art Walk. I understand that, but it was more so of seeing during that time Art Walk, because we don't necessarily promote Art Walk, the Mark Park Village vendors. So I was just saying, is there any way possible during that last Sunday that we all come together and do something
Well,
instead
yeah,
of having, like I said, the three teams? I would have loved to hear the performance that we have, but I'm too far away.
that's what I was about to explain. So then, a lot of times we say, how come we all can't unite and all of this, but when you really look at and know all the insides and intricacies, you understand, and then it's at the very least, how can we peacefully coexist? So I was saying, Ben has been doing the art walk for several years, and Ben includes white folks into what he does. He also you know he works, he has people who have different sexual practices who come and involved in what he does. So then you have King OG and Kay Lee, who are both the head of the Marcus Garvey UNIA, a Black nationalist movement. They're also the head of the First Church of Rasta. And then they have the collective of different Rasta bands. So in that movement, you have different beliefs and practices that don't necessarily complement or go along with what Ben is doing. And then we have the newest addition to the market, where we are doing the live performances. And basically, to this point, it has been our young brother Steven, our sister Dana, and a couple other people organizing that. And initially, King OG and Kaylee were kind of open to that happening because, again, their tradition predates this whole permit process. So, in part, we kind of have to respect that. But initially, they were open to our performances as long as they began and ended prior to their concert starting. But then, for different reasons, we had to shuffle our locations, and that's why yesterday it ended up basically in front of Core. But just saying all that to say, it would be great if all these different entities were able to come together and we had one big thing. But it's almost like Juneteenth. On Juneteenth, they had multiple stages. In prior times, even with Taste the Soul, they had multiple stages which draws in different crowds. But all those different draws allows more opportunity for the vendors. So I know there have been different complaints about the sound clash that happens with all these different things that are happening. But trust me, it would be more conflict trying to force all these different entities to merge into one thing because there's just too many different cultural, political, and other differences. And at this point, because all of these things have been happening, with the exception of our performances, these things have been happening for years leading up to this. With this permit now being forced on us, we have to figure out how to best accommodate the traditions in the park without forcing into more of a conflict.
Right. Gotcha. That makes sense.
Chanel has her hand up.
Hey guys, so I know you guys probably don't hear it a lot, but you guys are, well, I hope you guys hear it a lot, that you guys are doing fantastic, amazing, honorable, commendable work. I just want to say it again because I feel like we need to say it to you guys more often. The stress that you guys are going through, we can see it, and we just have to support you in any way that we can. On Sunday, everything was moving about in a lot of different ways. And so is there a way for us to get maybe a calendar? I know you guys already have enough to do already. So I'm not trying to add it on anything, but if there's a way for me, I can help. I know August is right around the corner. Maybe we can get out at the beginning of August, just of the events that we know are happening. And if I can help out in any way, let me know, just to kind of get people to see like, hey, on this Sunday, this is happening on this Sunday. Maybe we could just put Sundays up and say something. I don't know.
Thank you for offering to help with that. And I am so going to take you up on that. With our, we have two websites. One is the Leimert Park Village Vendors.com. And again, that is to get information out to the vendors. We want to keep the vendors updated, informed, knowledgeable. The intent is to put grants, when grant announcements come out, when loan announcements, like what Erica was talking about tonight, when there's call to actions and we need bodies to show up and things like that. That is the Leimert Park Village Vendors.com website. Then we have a marketplace website, which is to promote the market, to promote the vendors, and to promote what's going on. There's a calendar page on that website. I just haven't been able to keep it updated, but if you could help me with that, Chanel, that would be great. Because what I was doing was going to like the We Love Leimert page, to Leimert Park portal, to Eventbrite and different things like that. And I also follow the hashtag Leimert Park on Instagram, so that when different things come up in Leimert Park, when people use that hashtag, then I'll say, okay, well, we can put this on the calendar. In addition to putting the other things, outside events on the calendar, then we have the yoga on the calendar. I've been talking to a lady who wants to do a composting class. So we're going to put her on the calendar. There's another lady who wrote a book about autism in the Black community. She wants to come and do an informational presentation. So that would go on the calendar. So the things that we're doing internally would go on the calendar, as well as the things that are happening externally. Like I think the next thing coming up is the World Music Peace Festival on August 14th and 15th. So there is a calendar. We just need help collating the information from all the different sources, and then help keeping the calendar updated.
Okay, awesome. On it. Just let me know. I'll call you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions about marketing, events, the calendars? We're at the point in the meeting where the floor is open to talk about needs, wants, general comments. Do we have any other input?
Yeah, one last thing I would like to say. So the past few weeks, some of you may have noticed, I've been going through a lot of the pages of people I'm connected to, and those who are taking pictures of either their booths or showing Africa Town. I've been trying to include you in my stories towards the end of the week, usually Wednesday through Saturday. And again, it's not where I'm favoring certain people. Sometimes I forget I'm even connected to some of you online. So if you just send me a message or something throughout the week, but what I really ask is if you show your booth. So because a lot of people who follow my page and We Are Africa Town page are coming out now because they know the need for support. And I see them, they go to different booths, but I'm really trying to highlight as many people as possible who are out there. But if you're just taking a selfie or pictures of other things or just your products, they can't really identify who or where you are. But if you just hit me up throughout the week, and I can come to your page and identify what your booth looks like, I have no problem sharing it. Or if you don't want me to share it, let me know that, because I know my page or our pages get a little heavy for some folks, and some folks don't want to be associated with that. But either way, just let me know.
Okay, thank you. And then
I took your offer,
Have
your
one.
billions.
All right.
I
I'm
was
gonna
just
have you
telling
up.
Billions I took because he asked me to. Can you hear me? Yeah, no, I was saying I took you up on what you said and took a picture of my actual my setup, my booth. So now I can tag it and tag you in that as well.
I'm gonna have you
Because
up
I
two
do just
times
take
this week
pictures
for
of
that.
my customers.
I'm gonna
Okay.
let you
Okay.
slide twice for that.
We had another person who was trying to comment. Is there another comment?
Yes, I'm going back to, this is Sabrina. Hi, I was going back to the idea of, from a perspective, if I were a tourist, a visitor going through the park on that day, seeing various different types of entertainment as I walk through will be an asset to me. And also it keeps the traffic in all areas, like from one side to the other to the other. It's always something that you're walking through and exciting to see or do, whether or not it's yoga or those other meetings or a band or whatever is happening. It gives, in my opinion, a better festive place to go with a lot of different things to see or do. And you can pick your choice, and then everybody won't be in one area just watching one thing. So that's the comment I wanted to make. So that's why I think it's an asset sometimes. It's for various things going on. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that point of view, because that makes a lot of sense. So having different perspectives just always helps. Last thing on the marketing is that the other part of it is there are people or there are vendors who have donated their products to help promote the market. So for the first week of yoga, maybe it was the second week, Summer Body Athletics helped us with a campaign where they said the first 15 people who show up for yoga get a free, they had their choice of a yoga top or yoga pants. So what happened with that is, as we were promoting yoga, the Summer Body Athletics, they got additional promotion because their name was on the flyer saying they're giving away free items. Last week, it was Juice by Chanel. And it was, again, if you come to yoga, the first 20 people who come to yoga get a free sunblast shot, I think is what she called it. But it's like a ginger lemon kind of shot. But point being, her business got promoted every time we promoted yoga. So our market is not a traditional market where vendors are charged $100, to set up, and that allows for the organizers to, buy ad space and hire somebody to manage the social media and things like that. Everything that we're doing in this market is in community, is a collaboration. So with that being said, if you have a product and you want to donate it to the raffle, then as we promote the raffle, you will get additional promotion. If you have something you want to donate for the people coming out of the yoga class, again, you will get additional promotion every time we promote yoga. We're open to other marketing ideas. We just need to do this again as community, as family, because we don't have a marketing budget. We don't have a marketing manager. So we're all going to have to take on some part of that role. The last thing that I wanted to mention real quick is that one of the goals of the farmers market, in addition to holding space, in addition to bringing produce to the community, because we lost the Ralph supermarket, one of the bigger goals was to protect our food vendors, because again, food vendors cannot get a license through the city or the county because the city rules and the county rules don't line up. So our food vendors are left unprotected. With the farmers market permit, we can include them as part of our event, and we can get them what's called a temporary food facility license. So we have our first two food vendors who have gotten their temporary food facility permits, and that's Tanya at Silver Link Up and Nakia at My Daddy's Recipes. So congratulations to both of them. And thank you to both of them for filling out all the paperwork, paying all the fees, and helping us learn this process, because we had never done this before, didn't have a clue as to what we're doing. But as they went through the steps and they were helping us and we were helping them, we actually have 2 food vendors in Leimert Park that are in compliance with all of the rules. That's huge for us. And then we have 2 more vendors who were sending their information off. Well, I sent it off today by overnight mail, so the county will receive it tomorrow. So it looks like our next 2 vendors to get their permits will be Philadelphia Organic Lemonades. Am I saying that right, Nadia? And then,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, so you'll be one of our next ones to get your temporary food facility permit. And then Simret, I don't know if she's on the call tonight, but the Ethiopian food lady, she sent in all of her paperwork as well. So she will probably be, not probably, but she'll be in the next group of food vendors to get their temporary food facility permits. So congratulations to all of them. We have so many uphill battles, but I think we should all say congratulations to ourselves, because whatever's thrown in front of us, we might, complain and gripe about it as we go through the process, but we always go through the process and we always come out on the winning side. So thank you all to everyone. With that, I'm done. Billion, I don't know if you have any parting comments.
No, just again, thank you
I
to
have a quick
everyone.
question.
It's been a learning process for all of us, but the bottom line is we are fighting to hold this space. We are fighting to make sure it stays Black. We are fighting because we know for a lot of people, this is the last opportunity to make income, and for others, it's the first step towards getting to a bigger business. A few weeks ago, we saw 2 former vendors open up brick and mortar spaces right across the street. Honey Queen Lemonade, also our sister Kika, down closer to Stalker. She's going to be the first Black woman-owned cannabis shop in the city of LA. She's also, helped to fight to get Black people in general their cannabis licenses. Her and her mom used to sit out in the park and sell Guerrilla Life. They eventually got into a number of stores. So again, those of you who are looking to expand what you're doing, that's what we're fighting for. But we're also fighting for our brothers and sisters who are out there homeless. We know the city has resources to house them. We're also fighting for the merchants, even though some of them have been showing hostilities and complications against us. We want to see them succeed and do well, but bottom line, we want to make sure we're not pushed out of this area. So again, every time y'all show up and set up, that's what y'all are helping us do. Every time y'all tap into these meetings, that's what y'all helping us do. Thank you.
Thank you, Billion. And then I have a request. So for our food vendors, we're supposed to have a 3-compartment warewashing sink on site. We have been trying to figure out how to make this work because the cost is a factor. And even if someone gave us $1 million tomorrow to buy the sinks are very large. They're about 6 feet long each. They weigh about 700 pounds once they're filled with water, all these different logistical issues. But we found out that a food truck with a 3-compartment sink on it can serve in lieu of the warewashing sink. So I have been looking into what it would take to rent a food truck every Sunday so that we are in compliance with the sink situation. So my request is, if anybody knows of someone, or if anyone has a food truck that they don't use on Sundays, if anybody knows the ice cream man and he has a sink and he doesn't use his truck on Sunday, we need more than one. We need 2 or 3, but we can start with one. If anyone knows a food truck with 3 sinks on it who would be willing to work with us and let us use that sink on Sunday, their truck on Sundays from 10 to 5, please let me know. As always, please tell them our budget is like -0. So we're hoping that they'll donate it. But if they can't, then we'll have a conversation about what a rental would look like. But we need access to a food truck with a 3-compartment sink.
I want to
And
say something. I want to say congratulations to Nadia.
she's on.
I'd like to say one thing if I
Thank
could.
you.
Oh, Darren wants to say something. He wants to, go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make it clear and kind of reiterate that in order to have an effective marketing campaign for the organization and each person's individual business, the social media posts need to be frequent and consistent. So what I didn't make clear initially is that My Hosting Plus is offering complimentary graphic design and marketing services. So please take advantage of that. In addition to that, with the Boss Up Academy, we are offering free scholarships for the courses. So again, please take advantage. I'm here to help in any way I can, so that we can make this thing happen.
Wow, thank you for that. Thank you. So please reach out to Darren. He had put his information in the chat earlier. I have his information. Billion has his information. So please take advantage. Please reach out. Anything that is free, anything that is complimentary is always worth checking out. You know, it's just an investment of your time at this point to have a conversation with Darren. Darren, we have some people asking, can you please put your info in the chat box again? Okay, he shook his head yes, so he's going to do that. So while we're waiting for that info to pop up, any last questions, any last requests, comments?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's in regards to the, I guess both the permits and the permits for the food vendors and the street closures. So if we're only getting, say for instance, I only paid for the 3 months. So say for instance, next month, the street closes and then we have to move or we're not gonna be there, then will we get that time back?
So that's a great question. And those are the questions that we're asking. And as we've mentioned before, we've got some attorneys who are helping us because when our permit was issued, the street work was not planned. And to the point where in a different meeting, not from the city council office, but like in an EQUA meeting or Leimert Park stakeholders meeting, someone said, oh, well, you guys are going to have to move because the street work has already been planned. When that comment was made in that meeting, I called Bureau of Street Services and I said, hey, what's the deal? You guys gave us a permit for a year. Now they're telling us that, you know, the streets might be closed. So if the streets are closed, would we have to get a new permit and move somewhere else? And the person I spoke to said, we checked the calendar for the whole year in advance before we granted your permit, and there was no street closure work planned. So I don't know all of the legalities of it, but my thought is that if the street work was scheduled after our permit was granted, then the city will have to somehow accommodate us without any additional charges or requirements or anything like that because our permit came before the scheduled street work. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but that's the question that we're putting before our lawyers. The city just hasn't given us the exact date when the streets are going to be closed, and they haven't let us know the entire scope of the work. Someone said that all of the streets are going to be closed for 3 months. I don't see any kind of construction or street resurfacing that should keep everything in Leimert closed down for 3 months. And the other part of that is not only will it affect the street vendors and our farmers market, but that will also affect the merchants because they won't be able to operate their shops for 3 months. So does that mean all of those merchants are going to go out of business because their customer base is being cut off with the street closures? So there's a lot of politics and there's a lot of legal stuff behind the scenes that are involved in this street closure. So we don't have definite answers for you, but we're working to get those answers and we're working with lawyers to get those answers. Does that answer your question?
That is absolutely answering my question. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. So anything else? Anyone else?
Yes, hi, this is Nikia. Hi, everyone. Also for our food vendors, there's a few that I saw that had open flames in their tent. I want to remind you guys that that is not allowed. That is against the health department rules, and that can get us fined. So please, if you're cooking with an open flame, you have to do that outside of your tent area right behind it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Nakia, for the reminder. And as we've been working with the food vendors, we've been giving a list of what the requirements are. We're going to go through those lists again, because fortunately, we have not had any inspections from the health department or from the fire department yet. So hopefully the universe will show us favor and give us another few weeks before they come out. But within those few weeks, we will work to get everybody what they need and make sure everyone is in compliance. And as we have those conversations, we're asking food vendors to please, 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 understand that one vendor can cost the permit for all 100 plus vendors that are out there. So when we come by with the rules and the checklist and things like that, it's not because we're trying to give you a hard time. It's not because we want to be the boss of everybody. It's simply because we had to fill out 5 or 6 different applications and go through a bunch of processes to get this permit to protect everybody who's out there. So we're asking everyone, please help us keep everyone protected. Let's talk about, if you have concerns or if you don't want to do something, let's talk about what's the compromise. Why don't you want to do it? What does it look like, for us to get you to go with the flow and be in compliance? But again, I can't stress enough that one person could cost the permit for everybody. And that is not what we want to see happen. Chanel has her hand up.
Hi, Jen. So one question I saw in the chat was the hashtag that everyone can possibly use for the marketing on Instagram. Is it okay to use the support Leimert Park vendors, or should we vote on one, or can we keep on using that one?
So I think that's going to be a combination answer. Okay. And I think I would like to ask Darren, the marketing professional, if maybe over the next day or two, he can give us some input or insight, because there's a hashtag to support the vendors. But I also think there should be a hashtag specifically for the market, because we want people to come out on every Sunday and spend with the vendors and fill up the space and come to the drum circles. So is there one that, meets both those goals? Is it okay to have 2 of them? Do you have any immediate thoughts on that for us, Darren?
I think that you should incorporate as many hashtags as possible, especially those that pertain to geographic location. So, Leimert Park being one of them, you definitely want to bring attention to the city. You want to bring attention to the organization, bring attention to the event names. You want to bring attention to the individual business names, and you want to flood your posts with them, as many hashtags as possible. The more, the better right now.
Okay, thank you. So then what we'll do, Chanel, is we'll take suggestions over the next couple of days. We'll take suggestions over the next couple of days. And then maybe what we can do between now and Sunday is come up with like the top 5, because like Darren is saying, using multiple. And then we'll share, we'll share the top 5. And then going forward, when each vendor is posting about the marketplace, then they can use all 5 of those hashtags in their post. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Nadia, go ahead.
Oh, it was Nikia. Hey, and then once we come up with those, is it possible that we can include that on their invoice so they can have it all the time, where they know constantly which hashtags to use or something?
Absolutely.
Is that possible? Okay.
Absolutely. And since she brought up invoices, we're not gonna, it's the conversation around invoices and payments has so many layers that we can't address it in these last few minutes. But the reality is some people are not paying. Some people are not paying because they cannot afford to. So then in situations like that, it's like, how do we help them grow their business so that they can afford to pay? Not only how do we help them grow their business so that they can pay their vendor invoice, how do we help them grow their business so they can survive? Because if someone is out there all day and they're not making any sales, not making any money, then the question is, how are they surviving? How are they eating? How are they, paying their bills? So for those people, please reach out, and, if there's a way that we can help you or refer you to some places that can help you, we will do that. There are some people who are not paying because of a philosophical difference of opinion, I think is how it was described in another meeting. They feel like Lamert has been an open community space for all of these years, and that should not change. There's been conversation around, if the people don't pay, then should they get put out? Well, that opens a whole different can of worms, because yes, they should, in my opinion, but again, this is not a typical farmer's market. This is about community and holding space for community. So then we're looking to find some other alternatives to addressing people not paying without kicking them out of the space, for lack of a better term, because that's a very, very emotional issue that gets very heated. And, someone has said, we're basically the same as the gentrifying entities that are trying to push us out of the village. We're just doing it on a smaller, more immediate scale. We're pushing out people who cannot afford to be someplace. And that's the same thing that we're talking about when we talk about gentrification. So we don't know the answer. We're looking for an answer. There's conversation between the Vendors Association and Africatown, some of the vendors who philosophically feel they should not pay. We're going to get there. We just don't know what the answer is. So I did want to put that out there, because as people paid on Sunday, we got a lot of comments. Well, I'm going to pay mine, but it's not fair if someone else isn't paying theirs. So, in an all things equal world, it is not fair, but this again is a unique situation. So we just have to figure it out. Billion, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just 2 things real quick. Sort of like we were saying about a month ago or so, with the different conflicts we were having, as opposed to just Africatown stepping up, trying to address those conflicts. We were encouraging other brothers in the community to step up, and in a couple of cases we saw that's way more effective, because when they just see it as Africatown, they can make it seem like, oh, we trying to be the new boys on the block. But as they hear it from more people out there in the community, then they know it's a community thing that they have to respect. So with the folks who are not, or it's more so refusing to pay, I know some of the elders who are out there who've just been coming out for years. They're usually on Social Security. So they haven't really been coming with the intention to really make money like that. You know, for them it's just a social thing, make cigarette, beer money, and whatever. But some of the younger folks who are more into actually enterprising their businesses and refusing to do so, I believe, with more conversation, just like I was saying, how Walter de-escalated with the young lady last week. If more people, in addition to Africa Town and the marketplace staff, communicate or even question them, you know, we really need y'all to help us keep this space. I believe eventually they will come around. And my second thing, so with Africa Town, a lot of people think it's just a name for our organization. Part of us naming our organization is in an effort to rename this actual area. Again, Lamert was the architect of the area, but he had housing covenants where he would not allow Black people to come over there. So going as far back to the 90s, some of my elders began to educate me on the need to name the area either our Little Africa or Africa Town to claim the space. And in 2017, one of my prior organizations formed a coalition with others, and we eventually named it Africa Town as we started to take up signatures, petition, and communicate with the city to rename the area. So again, when we say Africa Town, we're not just promoting ourselves as an organization. We are pushing to actually claim this space, which is another step in the fight against gentrification. As you figure, the Mert was a person that did not want us into this area. A lot of the Black organizations who have been working with the gentrifiers and developers to push us out of the area, like Lamert Park Village Inc. And other groups with that name, they're doing the same as Lamert did originally to push us out. So again, when we say African Town, that's what we're saying, not so much just promoting ourselves as an organization, but to actually claim the space for us.
Okay, all right, thank you, Billion, for sharing that. So with that, Nakia just came off of mute. Nakia, do you have another comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to second what Billion said about other people speaking up regarding the fee. Like if you know that your neighbor is bragging about not paying their fee or taking advantage, like, you know, if someone can't afford to, that's one thing. But if they're just taking advantage of the fact that we're working in community and we don't want to kick our community members out and we don't want to call the police on a community member and they're taking advantage of it, please speak up on that. You know, speak up on that and let them know that, you know, just like they wouldn't want anyone to come into their home, they let someone come into the home and they're not contributing to the home. If we're a community, you contribute, you know, and that's just it. And so if you can share those sentiments to your neighbor, to your other, you know, fellow community members that are not contributing, we would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Well said. Thank you, Nakia. So we will end here. We're right at the 9:30 mark. It's 9:28. So we value everyone's time. We always try to keep the meetings at an hour, but we always seem to end up at 2 hours. But thank you, everyone, for your time and for your contribution and for showing up on Sundays, for having our backs. Just thank you. Thank you for this community and keeping it, making it, creating it what it is. And we'll just keep growing and going from here. So thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. And I'll leave the meeting going if anyone wants to copy down any information from the chat. And if you actually go to the chat, there's a box at the bottom with 3 little dots. If you click on those 3 little dots, it says save chat. And that allows you to save the entire chat history. And you can go through and get the phone numbers you may have missed for Darren, for Erica, and any other notes or anything that you may have missed in the chat box. Thanks again. Good night.
Good night, everybody.